What's up, guys? Welcome back to Bunny Space Industries. You're going to notice that this video is going to be filmed a little bit differently. I have more arm room. My arms aren't getting cut off. It's because I'm trying a different format of filming and different editing technique. Same background, we're still in space. Definitely in space. Can't prove otherwise.
Are you sure about that?
Recorded this before. I had to re-record it because I messed up the focus. That's what happens when you're trying to film by yourself. But this episode is going to be about SpaceX and Starship, and about the problems that I, in my opinion, think Starship has that's going to slow and or completely halt its entire freaking development. And I already can see the Elon and SpaceX fans completely getting pissed off in the comments. I don't care. Freaking, I'm titling the video to freaking trigger you anyway. But don't get me wrong, I like SpaceX. I think the shit they're doing is freaking awesome and definitely pushing the boundaries of space and science engineering. I think that SpaceX is doing a lot of cool shit with catching the super heavy booster. That's the first time a reusable booster of that. I'm going to ignore that. That light is wanting to turn off because that battery is dying because I'm running out of batteries, but I'm going to push through it, even though it's annoying me. First time a booster of that size was caught by any kind of, or was made reusable at all. For NASA's are all disposable and usually sunk in the ocean or recovered and scrapped later. So I think SpaceX is doing good things. My only problem with the Starship is the equipment or what they're using for the heat shielding. Shut up, phone. Suffers from the same problems the space shuttle had, because the heat shielding they're using is the exact same heat shielding the space shuttle used. And it's almost like they didn't learn at all from NASA not being able to get it to work. If the eggheads at NASA couldn't make their reusable spacecraft continue to work and be reusable because of the same problems they're having now, why do they think that they were going to be able to do it? My only thought is arrogance or hubris, that they think that they're better or whatever. Not to say that the engineers at SpaceX aren't geniuses. I mean, they made fucking rockets that can literally reorientate themselves and land standing up, which was previously only seen in, like, freaking Futurama, with the Futurama rocket. They basically made the Futurama rocket, let's be honest. Or thrusters in the same style, but whatever. So, here's the problem with the Starship. I lost my notes. The tiles they are using, gotta get past all the photos I have, are a system of 18,000 hexagonal tiles made of aluminum, lithium, and carbon fiber that protects the vehicle from intense heat and re-entering. Those are the exact same tiles that the space shuttle used. And the reason, the same things that happened with the space shuttle that canceled launches for that are happening again. Many NASA space shuttle launches were canceled because several of the heat shielding tiles just fell off before even launching, because the glue would not adhere to the shuttle properly. Right here. The heat shield tiles are based on the space shuttle tiles, which are porous and low density, making them difficult to attach securely. They're too brittle, they break up too easily into large pieces in re-entry. They tend to expand when heat is applied to them, which I don't know if you know this, but a lot of heat is applied for exit and re-entry of the atmosphere because there's a lot of wind and atmosphere slamming against the side of it. And then they put insulating blankets underneath it to shield it even more, but the problem still persists. It can be seen on the space shuttle and the Starship that they had to replace a lot of the tiles on the day of the launch for Starship. So the main problem is that the Starship had several panels missing from it on the day of launch, and they had to replace those panels right before launch. And now next is what I observed based on my opinion of observing the launch of the Starship and watching the video from the stream of when it was in atmosphere. Upon exiting the atmosphere, the panels seem to have heated up so much during the re-entry period of it, when, the Starship was under immense heat from re-entering, that several pieces of the heat shielding you could see breaking off and flying off into space. One of them striking and damaging the camera that was streaming the event back to SpaceX. It broke one of their cameras, struck it dead on that we were freaking viewing the fin from. And another one, before it struck the camera, hit the fin, from what I could see, and what I'm assuming is bent it, because you start seeing plasma build up on that stabilizer fin, and they're not supposed to have plasma being built up on them because they're designed to be aerodynamic. If they stop being aerodynamic, well, then that's when they start gaining a lot of temperature and heat on them, and plasma starts to build up on them. So, from what I've seen and observed, the heat shieldings in SpaceX, or nobody has said anything about it, and this is all basically based on my opinion of observation. I'm not a professional. I don't work for NASA, SpaceX. I'm not a space science engineer. I just have autism and obsessed with space. This, in my opinion, is the heat shielding has already proved that it is going to damage the Starship. And it's in the same way that it damaged the space shuttle and caused the Columbia accident. Debris from the shuttle, those external tank, or other sources can damage heat shield tiles. For example, the shuttle Atlantis suffered damage to the heat shield from debris during liftoff. And then it could cause loose insulation, gap filters, or used to minimize heating issues. These are all things that they tried to do to fix it on the space shuttle. They tried different type of tile bonding. The problem just kept persisting, which is why the space shuttle program is now no more. They canceled it. They started renting SpaceX rockets instead of building their own, because it was just cheaper. During one of the re-entries of the space shuttle, NASA even said later, they didn't say this during the original televised, but they said later that more than 700 feet of shield tiles were damaged during one of the re-entries. So basically, just going back to my observations again, the heat shielding they're using is flawed. And unless Elon, well, I shouldn't even say Elon because he's not a friggin' space engineer, neither am I, but at least I freaking pay attention. Unless SpaceX and the engineers there can find a better way to keep it attached, or a different heat shielding system entirely, the Starship is not going to be completed anytime soon. And we're just going to see more and more orbital failures during re-entry. It's never going to get the clearance required because the tests that SpaceX is doing right now are scaled down. This is a small baby version of what they intend to do with the Starship. Right now, the entire column of the Starship is fuel, engines, and then navigation equipment in the top. To make the Starship what Elon and SpaceX plans to have for the Mars trip, it needs to be quadruple the size of the current Starship. They plan on having bridge-style cockpit and full medical facility, and everybody gets their own room, basically. They see the Starship as a fully inhabitable, livable structure going from Earth to Mars that people can basically live in like it's a 5-star hotel. And to do that, they're going to have to scale it up massively. Upon scaling it up, you have more mass, you have more surface area to cover, and that means more area for these tiles to cover, and more mass equals more heat generated during re-entry. Meaning that these tiles could have cause even more damage because there's more surface area for them to strike into and damage other tiles. Now, my other problem with the Starship is I think it's too circular. It's too cylindrical. He went too much with the Coke can design, and should have went more with a diamond design, where basically starts at like a curved point, and it comes down to like a solid like pointed sides, and then curves down again, and more like cylindrical that way. That way it has the bottom being flat in some way, so that the shielding could block it like they did with the space shuttle. Because from what I could tell, it seems like right now the heat is able to creep up and go around the entire cylindrical. So it's going past the heat shielding and it's starting to hit the metal. And then plasma starts building up there. But I have another solution. I think they should halt the Starship program for now. Any further testing on Earth, they should stop. They should start assisting NASA more with the Artemis program to get them to the moon faster and sooner. And I think that once that we have established bases on the moon with the orbiting gateway, SpaceX can basically buy real estate there, build their own manufacturing plant on the moon, and start manufacturing and bringing the equipment up and build the Starship on the moon where there's less atmosphere, launch it, and have it be an orbiter where it never re-enters. And you could do something similar to what NASA's doing, where you send a Starship sooner that's unmanned to drop out a type of like Mars type gateway satellite, and you can basically dock there. And I think that they should take the time and effort they're putting in the Starship here on Earth, they should put into the theoretical space elevator designs that are being theorized and with the new technology are theorized to be more plausible than reusable reentry equipment right now. And basically, when SpaceX gets their basically permission to have their own modules on the new space station, they have a docking area with a Starship docks, and then a space elevator will go all the way down to Earth and into basically a structure. And who knows, they could even make their own that's in synchronous orbit with the Earth using whatever means necessary they deem plausible with the amount of money that they're going to make from the space Mars back and forth space travel, if they even get to that. And then for Mars, they could do the same thing where they have a satellite in synchronous orbit with Mars, and space elevator goes from about that re-entry problem or the heat shielding problem until maybe possibly on Mars we find a material that can withstand higher heats. It's like a way better adhesive that can withstand higher heats with organic material found there for whatever way is possible in the future. But for right now, I don't think the Starship is possible, mainly for the reasons of if NASA couldn't figure out the heat shielding, I doubt that SpaceX will. I'm not saying that it's impossible. I just don't think it's plausible right now, but who knows? Crazier things have happened, and I'm open to being proved wrong by SpaceX. I want SpaceX to succeed. I want the Mars program to go further, and I want the Starship to be a thing, because I do see it as super cool. But as of right now, it just doesn't seem logically possible with the technology we have at the moment. But who knows? SpaceX might prove me wrong. They might develop a new technology, equipment, or whatever needed to adhere onto the side of the Starship and create the cooling. I don't know. This is all speculation. This is all based on my opinion and my thoughts on it. But that's going to be it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed. Remember, stay curious. Love space. Go to the moon.